Hi there, I'm going to try to show how to create a little bit of an electronic dance music track using different drummer. First thing you do is set up your instruments. You got 8 tracks, and I've got some voices in here that are sort of suited for this demonstration. And I'm going to switch over to the waves and show you the red wave. I've got that rest wave there that's kind of carving out the note wave, and it's creating those quarter note kicks. And the rest wave can be flattened out, and that just leaves the tied note wave, which has no amplitude on it, but you can see there's a little bright spot in there, and that's created by the tie wave, which unties it. I also have a beat wave going on here on the other side, which sort of speeds up some notes here and there. And I've zoomed out to 3 measures here so you can kind of see how the patterns develop over the measures. Now I'm going to zoom back in, and I turned on that clap voice. I'll turn on, actually I'm going to copy this clap, and I'll copy it over to this other track, make an identical clap for clap 2. And so now I have 2 claps. I haven't turned it on yet, but I will. And so the rests and everything have been copied. So it's a good way to sort of like fatten up a track. And you go back to that kick wave and bring that rest back in so we can hear it a little more 4 on the floor kind of feel. Mixed in with that beat wave and the tie wave, it kind of keeps it alive. I also have some dynamics in there. I'm not going into the dynamics wave, but that creates accents, and it's really useful for creating more live kind of feeling. So I have another copy of the clap, but I did some I messed with some of the parameters. I copied it again and just messed with it, so it's just a little bit different. You can also slide them up and down to create different pitches and things for the different tracks. So when you double them up, you don't have to exactly double them. You can mess with them. In this Doombeck track, look, I've flattened it out. Now look what happens when I give it some amplitude. All of a sudden the Doombeck starts taking off a little bit more. Alright, let's give it a little bit more action on the 4 there. And you can hear how that kind of gets moving. Now I'm going to pop over to the hat, which I have on a very slow kind of pattern. Every 2 measures it kicks in. You'll see I'm using the square wave where I've set the pulse width really wide, so it sort of only lets that play every 2 measures, and I can slide that around by using the phase if I want. That pulse, you just drag there, and you can change the width of that pulse, and you can see how it sort of changes where that plays. And then you can always slide it around to change the phase. But you can also do a good trick here: set your phase interval to 16th notes. And then when I hit the little plus and minus on the phase wheel, it moves at exactly a 16th note wherever you want it. So that's a good way to really move things around and syncopate them. I have it where I want it for now. And so now let me go ahead and put in my cowbell here. Now the cowbell I did something interesting on. You know, most of these rest waves are very similar. They're just sort of 2 and 4 type patterns. And then you can slide them around with a phase to kind of get them syncopated where you want. But I also added a little bit of randomization at a sort of a low frequency, 1/2 frequency in fact. I set that in there. So every once in a while the cowbell will play a little random note that kind of keeps it alive. And then last but not least, let's bring in that bass wobble, which is sort of set on a pretty slow frequency and just kind of comes in and messes with you every couple of measures. And then you can always, then once you have that all dialed in, you can always go back to any of the waves and just, you know, hear what happens when you start to mess with just one slider. Here I'm giving a little bit more note activity to the bass, to the kick, and that's kind of cool. And then I can go back over to my rest wave, flatten it out, chill the mix out a little bit, bring in a rest on a little bit higher frequency, and you can see just messing. So each wave, I recommend messing with each wave. You got the tie. I haven't even gone into the tie and the dynamic wave, and those things are going to create all sorts of new possibilities for you, just given the same exact bass starting place. So as you can see, this is really easy to do. It's very easy to create dance beats, and you can always then just lock it into grid mode if you want. If you like what you have, then you can pop everything into grid mode and then work with just exact loops if you want. But these waves are kind of fun because they have longer frequencies, and they can play out differently when they're not in grid mode than when they're in grid mode, where everything's sort of locked into a set number of loops and all that. certainly go into grid mode and then really lock it down if that's how you want to operate, which often is how you need to, so that's well understood. Now I'll just do a little fade out, and that's my demo for EDM with DD. Take care.